Click Boss here, folks. Today we're going to be looking at 3D printing. We're going to be looking at which 3D printing company is the most expensive in today's marketplace. So we're going to look at VoxelJet, 3D Systems, Arcam, Stratasys, and X1 to see which one is the most expensive given today's past growth rates. So the short answer here, folks, is that VoxelJet is definitely the most expensive company if you were to invest today and by a very large margin. If you were to buy VoxelJet today, you'd get a 2% return on revenue and you're paying around 50 times sales. Basically, that's the same number there. It's more than twice as expensive as Arcam and X1, so let's really explain what this means, exactly how much you're paying. So I like to use revenue and yield because it makes it easier to think like a business owner. Running through the VoxelJet example, I have this little chart here I made. I'll pull up real quick. If you bought the company for $555 million in today's marketplace, that's the market cap right now, you get a 2% return on your investment through revenue if you bought the whole business. Then if you multiply that number times your profit margin, what you make after you sell a product and you have to pay for the cost of goods to make it, you'd get less than 1% return on profits. So obviously, if you're going to buy this business today, the current returns are really low if you bought it for today's market cap. And when you invest in growth companies, you hope the growth rate can raise that number to satisfactory levels sometime in the future. So when we look at the VoxelJet example, if it were to continue to grow by its past 2-year growth rate that we see is around 35%, your revenue yield would be 9% with a 36% profit margin. That comes to around a 5% return after 5 years you've held that investment. So that's really low, folks, especially when you factor in inflation. So basically, you're taking on a lot of risk for a really low return 5 years out in the future, in my opinion, for VoxelJet right now. So basically, the company would really need to accelerate its growth rate in the future to make the investment worthwhile for the given amount of risk you're taking here. So if we bring up this chart again, though, you can see that VoxelJet and Arcam are the most expensive by a large margin, and surprisingly, growing at much slower rates than the cheapest 3D Systems and X1. In my opinion, X1 has the greatest value in today's marketplace, given that 3D Systems' organic growth rate is just under 30%. Remember, 3D Systems has largely grown by acquisitions over the past several years, so their organic growth rate is actually a little bit lower. Hopefully, they can sustain a higher growth rate with some of these acquisitions they have had. So the takeaway here, folks, is 3D printing stocks are very pricey, so be sure you're aware of how much you're paying for the risk you're taking on. X1 and 3D Systems are my favorites, but still are pretty high priced in today's marketplace. If you're interested in some more stock picks, we have some great picks at a Fool email address, retirerich@fool.com. We'll give you 3 great stock picks to help you make your portfolio great for retirement. That's all I have for you today, folks. Thanks for watching, and Fool on.